Politeness is rarely a virtue. In the brutal reality of human behavior, it is a biological beacon for predators. Society has engineered a massive, highly profitable mathematical lie that being an accommodating, nice person automatically earns you respect. In the unforgiving world of social hierarchies, nothing could be further from the truth. 97% of adults fail the respect test every single day because their unconscious daily habits silently broadcast massive insecurities to the people around them. The elite top 1% use a highly classified behavioral framework to dominate social dynamics, and the window to decode their system is closing immediately. Failing this respect test today guarantees permanent psychological exploitation tomorrow. By the exact end of this video, the classified blueprint to stop acting like pure prey, delete your weak habits, and build a dangerously magnetic aura will be fully exposed. The respect test is not a formal exam. It is the silent, instantaneous evaluation that happens the exact millisecond you walk into a room. Human beings possess ancient, primal neuroradars that constantly scan the environment for hierarchy placement. When you force a fake smile to avoid an uncomfortable truth, or when you automatically step out of the way for someone who is walking directly at you, you are taking the respect test, and you are failing it miserably. Predators do not respect those who blindly accommodate them. They only respect those who cannot be moved. Every time you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own internal reality, you hand them a piece of your sovereign power. You become an active participant in your own submission, proving to the entire room that your identity is completely fragile. Human behavior behind your biological submission. To permanently destroy this pathetic reflex, we must dissect the human behavior behind your biological submission. The desperate need to be universally liked is not an indicator of a good heart. It is a clinical trauma response deeply rooted in evolutionary biology. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by the tribe meant starvation and death. The brain's limbic system evolved to interpret social disapproval as a lethal physical threat. Today, that outdated primal fear forces modern individuals into absolute biological cowardice. When you sit at a table and nervously laugh at a joke that disrespects you, your nervous system is simply begging for tribal safety. You think you are being diplomatic and keeping the peace. The predator sitting across the table sees something entirely different. They see a fragile ego desperately begging for permission to exist. This biological submission is precisely why toxic individuals and covert narcissists constantly gravitate toward you. You are emitting the exact frequency of social prey. Manipulators are elite emotional hunters. They can smell the desperation of someone who cannot handle social friction. Every unearned apology, every rounded shoulder, and every averted gaze is a direct biological invitation for them to consume your energy. As long as you remain a slave to this primal fear of rejection, your social status will permanently remain at the absolute bottom. How social hierarchies punish polite habits. Social hierarchies are absolutely ruthless, mathematical systems of power. They do not reward the kindest person in the room. They reward the most grounded entity. When you operate under the illusion that your extreme politeness will eventually be rewarded with loyalty, you are playing a game that was rigged against you from the start. Social hierarchies actively punish polite habits because extreme politeness is mathematically indistinguishable from weakness. When you constantly adjust your physical posture to make others feel larger, or when you allow someone to repeatedly interrupt your sentences without holding cold, unbroken eye contact, you are forcefully lowering your own social status. Manipulators test your boundaries through calculated microaggressions. A patronizing touch on the shoulder, a subtle backhanded compliment, or a sudden change in plans that inconveniences you. The polite habit is to ignore these infractions to maintain a fake harmony. In the cold calculus of power dynamics, ignoring disrespect is not keeping the peace, it is surrendering your territory. Every time you let a subtle insult slide, you teach the entire room exactly how to treat you. You are handing the predator a detailed instruction manual on how to dismantle your self-esteem. The hierarchy absorbs this data instantly, and you are immediately categorized as an individual who is completely safe to exploit. Why over-explaining destroys your social status. The desperate need to explain your decisions is the ultimate proof of a fragile ego. In the realm of dark psychology, defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you is a severe waste of biological energy. When someone questions your choice, and you instantly launch into a detailed, frantic defense, you execute a massive transfer of power. Over-explaining implies that your reality requires their external validation to be true. It screams to the world that you do not trust your own internal compass. Elite operators never over-explain. They state their boundary as an absolute, immovable fact. If you say the word no and follow it with 3 paragraphs of apologies, justifications, and excuses, your no immediately becomes a negotiation. The predator realizes that your internal foundation is entirely hollow. They recognize that if they apply just a minimum amount of emotional pressure or guilt, your fragile defense will collapse and you will surrender to their demands. Over-explaining is a verbal bleed. It bleeds your authority, it bleeds your mystery, and it permanently destroys your social status. When you justify your existence, you automatically place yourself beneath the person you are explaining it to. Pause immediately. The behavioral trap I am about to expose is the exact reason you feel utterly exhausted and invisible in your own life. If you do not decode this specific psychological mechanism in the next 60 seconds, your identity will be permanently erased by the parasites around you. Pay absolute attention. The severe biological cost of the savior trap. Society romanticizes the good person who stays to heal and fix toxic individuals. In the clinical study of human behavior, this is known as the savior trap, and it carries a devastating biological cost. Manipulators do not want to be saved, they want to be served. They manufacture constant crises, emotional chaos, and endless drama specifically to harvest your attention. When you step in to fix their manufactured chaos, because your weak habits tell you it is the right thing to do, you are directly draining your own central nervous system. You become their emotional sponge. You absorb their toxic stress while they feed off your organic empathy. The biological cost of this dynamic is absolute destruction. Over time, your cognitive function drops, your anxiety spikes, your cortisol levels remain permanently elevated, and you become a hollow, exhausted shell. You are burning your own potential, sacrificing your own future just to keep a parasite warm. The covert narcissist relies entirely on this dynamic. They use your morality as a weapon against you. They know that as long as they play the victim, your weak habits will force you to play the savior. This is not loyalty. This is not love. It is psychological suicide, and it guarantees that you will remain social prey until there is absolutely nothing left of you to consume. How do elite operators build a dangerous aura? To stop failing the respect test, you must fundamentally restructure your identity and study the architecture of a dangerous aura. Elite operators at the absolute peak of social hierarchies possess a terrifying level of internal validation. They are the exact antithesis of a people pleaser. They do not shrink their physical presence in crowded rooms. They do not rush their physical movements to accommodate the anxiety of others. A dangerous aura is not born from violence or aggression. It is born from absolute, unbreakable self-possession. It is the rare ability to sit in total, grounded comfort while the rest of the room descends into emotional chaos. These operators move slower. They breathe deeper. They speak at their actual volume, and they never, under any circumstance, break eye contact first. They are entirely comfortable being misunderstood and are perfectly willing to be the villain in a manipulator's false narrative. By refusing to chase approval, they create an invisible, magnetic barrier around them. People biologically hesitate before testing them because they cannot predict their reaction. The elite do not offer nervous laughter. They offer sovereign indifference. They understand that you do not demand respect. You command it through unpredictability. Uncertainty breeds immense respect, and the gap between what you reveal and what you hide is your ultimate armor. You are standing at the absolute edge. The psychological weapon I am about to hand you is the only thing capable of shattering your old identity. If you close this video before mastering the void, you will wake up tomorrow as the exact same obedient prey. Do not blink. Why holding silence is the ultimate power move. The most lethal tool in the arsenal of power dynamics is the void of uncomfortable silence. Weak individuals are biologically terrified of silence. Their fragile egos rush to fill the quiet air with nervous chatter, apologies, and over-explanations. But when a predator launches a manipulative insult, a guilt trip, or a dominance test, the ultimate Machiavellian counterattack is absolutely nothing. Dead, unblinking silence. Staring directly through them without altering your facial expression triggers a violent short circuit in their neurochemistry. Predator expects a reaction. They desperately need your emotional explosion or your frantic defense to maintain their illusion of control. When you deny them that kinetic energy, the power dynamic inverses instantly. They begin to suffocate in their own toxic projection. The silence forces them to listen to the echo of their own disrespect. They begin to panic, realizing that their emotional manipulation has absolutely zero effect on your biological state. Silence proves that you are no longer available for consumption. It establishes supreme dominance without firing a single shot. The moment a person becomes perfectly comfortable holding the heavy tension of the void, they become completely and permanently immune to manipulation. The era of being a social puppet ends this exact second. Reclaiming your power in social hierarchies requires the ruthless, immediate execution of your weak habits. This is a non-negotiable shift in your behavioral matrix. Delete the nervous laughter today. Erase the constant apologies for merely existing and occupying space. When you set a boundary, state it as a concrete fact. Let the heavy silence hang in the air and watch the manipulators squirm. You must accept the brutal reality. Reclaiming your social power will heavily polarize the people around you. The emotional parasites will throw violent tantrums because their primary food source is finally cutting them off. Let them scream. Let them thrash. You do not require their permission to hold your ground. You are no longer a sponge for their toxicity. You are a concrete wall. The invisible rules of human behavior have been exposed, and the blueprint to absolute sovereignty is in your hands. But knowledge without immediate execution is utterly useless. If you go back to over-explaining tomorrow, you have actively chosen to remain prey. If you are ready to stop failing the respect test and execute this blueprint, subscribe and hit the bell immediately. We are arming the elite. Protect your energy. Master the void. Become the predator, not the prey.